Hey, we're back. Had to get another beer. Oh yeah. What you guys drinking on today? It's my Saturday today, so it's a day of drinking. Actually, it's my Sunday, so I'm going back to work tomorrow. so, uh, Sunday drinking. What a wonderful feeling when I'm drinking on a Sunday. And again, it's also Survivor night, so we're pre-gaming for Survivor tonight. I'm kind of active as hell on Twitter whenever Survivor is on. And it's been a while. It's been what, 2 years since Survivor? I'm sorry, a year and a half since they had a new Survivor season. Last week was the first episode in like a year and a half. So you can bet your ass I'm gonna be on Twitter tonight when Survivor premieres the next episode. It's already gotten a lot of like, I don't know if you want to say controversy or just attention from the last episode when they got rid of "Come on in, guys," and everybody had an opinion one way or the other on Jeff Probst banning the word "guys" in his iconic introduction to every fucking challenge for the last 21 years on Survivor. He always says, "Come on in, guys." Now he doesn't, right? Because apparently "guys" is a problematic word for an all-inclusive subset of Survivor from all different genres and all different genders and all different identities. You can't say "guys" anymore, guys. Sorry, guys. I called you guys. Sorry, guys. Right? I mean, this is so stupid. But for better or worse, it gave him a lot of attention on episode 1. In episode 2, I just hope that they don't have any more of this, this virtue signaling crap. They changed, something that's maybe they'll call them no longer tribes, right? Because that's kind of an offensive term, right? You're gonna call them tribes, like your Native Americans, right? No, they're not. Like it's fucking appropriating somebody else's culture. You call them tribes, right? You can't do that. You can't even use those the jungle music that they use at the start of Survivor, right? Are you fucking a real native? A fucking whatever the fuck they are, Samoa, whatever the fuck they are. You can't do that, right? So even trying to be fucking politically correct, you have to scrub everything, literally, that's part of Survivor that makes Survivor Survivor. You can't just take out "guys," right? Because it hurts somebody's feelings. It doesn't hurt anybody's feelings, by the way. A literal guy said, "I don't like guys." And he's a guy. None of the women had a problem with guys. It was a guy, literally guy, who said, "No, we can't use guys. It's going to offend somebody." Who does it offend? Because it definitely didn't offend any of the girls. So you're just talking out of your ass, fucking dick. I don't like that guy, by the way. That guy. I don't like that guy. Rickard, I hope he gets eliminated next episode. I really do. Because he's the worst. He's officially already the worst in the game. Maybe he's trying to do that, though. Maybe he's trying to be the bad guy. The bad guy, right? Of course. You can't say that word anymore, though, right? That word's taken out of your lexicon. Sorry, guys. You can't say "guys" anymore, guys. Sorry. It just disgusts me what it's come to at this point. It's like walk on eggshells for some of these people in the world who can't deal with reality, basically. They just can't deal with anything that kind of like rubs them the wrong way. Like, how do you fucking survive every day if you don't like to hear the word "guys," right? If you can't stand somebody saying "guys," how do you survive, right? Jesus Christ. Anyway, guys. There are no windows, and by the light from the weak bulb, one could only just barely make out the state of things around them. I don't know who's talking here. It appeared to be an old, forgotten, dusty underground storehouse with some kind of furniture haphazardly thrown into it. Oh, I know who these are. So it's like Kyrie and the rest. However, with just a little light, one could at least tell that it probably wasn't a storehouse, because that room was sealed off with iron bars.
ここは
I'm Kyrie,
どこなの
bitch.
わからん。ここは屋敷の地下なのか。食堂の真下にこんな部屋があったのか。
It's kind of ironic that Kyrie and Kraus are kind of on the same side now. Kyrie was the mastermind behind the strategy to kind of like extort Kraus out of all the Ushiromiya family money, because everybody figured out that Kinzo was dead. So they're like, okay, well, the caretaker of the Kinzo family fortune is Kraus, so let's go ahead and say, you know, I'm going to blackmail your ass and tell the world that Kinzo's actually dead, unless you give us all money for all of our failing businesses. And Kyrie was like the spearhead for that. So now it's kind of ironic that in this scenario, Kinzo's alive, and it's Kraus and Kyrie that are like forced to team up with each other because their spouses are both dead. Rudolph's dead and Natsui's dead. So now they're on the team together. It's kind of weird. It's weird, but it's wonderful because these are like probably the two most capable people in the Ushiromiya family. Rudolph's a fucking idiot. He doesn't know what the fuck to do with his money. Or his dick, basically, because he sleeps with some girl, basically. But he's actually in love with the other girl that he works with. But he has to marry the first girl because she has the kid with him first. So he doesn't know what the fuck to do. He's a fucking loser, socially and, you know, financially and business wise. Then we have Natsuhi, who's pretty much married 2 stations higher than what she normally should be married into with the Ushiromiyas. She's, you know, not used to that high life, but she's up there. Right? She has a good personality, but she's not, you know, affluent at all. So that's as much as you can say about that. Eva, she's got a bad personality. She's kind of a witch, but she is motivated and driven to succeed, and she marries a good man in Hideyoshi, who's, you know, he marries down a little bit, and he has bad dealings, and he's gotten hostily taken over in his job. So pretty much all the siblings, and then we already know about Rosa, right? We already know Rosa's failure as a mother, failure as a wife, because the dude left her after Maria was born. So failure in business too, because she takes all these fucking vacations, and her job's operating at a loss. So her business is fucking losing money hand over fist. She doesn't care. She wants to like bone these dudes. That's all she cares about, basically. So obviously the loser of the bunch is Rosa, and they're all losers basically. Kraus, he at least has ideas about what to do with the money that he's trying to invest, but none of the ideas, you know, pan out. Usually because of the market. Usually he's always the one that bets on the wrong, you know, company, and like they lose money and shit, and like he has to like sell all the stock in that company, and then they actually end up winning money later on, but he doesn't have enough money to, you know, cover the funds that he's already like spent. So he's making these business deals, and he's unlucky in business basically. It's not because he's incapable, but he's very unlucky, which you need luck to succeed in business 9 times out of 10. So they all kind of are unlucky, but Kyrie is the smartest by far. She's the only reason why Rudolph's not bankrupt, basically, and Kraus pretty much is in the best position out of all the siblings, as far as, you know, having all these funds from Kinzo to use and to abuse whatever he wants to do with. But he's also the oldest of them all, so he's used to being the leader. So again, they're both 2 capable people in the Ushiromiya's right here. They had been dropped into what appeared to be a pit and fallen into this room. Therefore, it would be appropriate to think that this room was directly below the dining hall. However, not even Kraus could bring himself to believe that there were pitfalls rigged in the beloved dining hall, where he had enjoyed his meals for years, and that directly below it was this dungeon-like room. But the ceiling, when they looked up, was made of rugged stone, and they could not understand from where in that ceiling they could have fallen. No, all 5 people who had been dropped here thought the same thing, although they had felt the sensation of being dropped into a pit. There was no way there could be pitfalls in a dining hall, nor could this dungeon-like place be directly underneath it. So they're basically saying magic That's what transported them from the dining hall to this dungeon. Let's observe who's not in the scene right now. Balor's not in the scene, right? So all these people thinking that magic is actually a thing, Balor did not see it. But in point of fact, they had fallen into this place and were locked in, and so they were confused. This entire scene is bullshit, by the way. So if Balor's not in the scene in episode 4, whenever there's no Balor, this is not reality. This is a made-up scenario that the witch is telling you guys.
Sean, Kanon, 君たちはこんな部屋の存在は知っていたかね？
いいえ、僕たちもこのような部屋のことは存じかねます。
本当に？本当です。本当にこの部屋知りません。
It seemed that Kyrie thought that there was a good chance that, despite their age, they might know of the mansion's secret tricks that servants permitted with the one-winged eagle. There was a long silence as if evaluating their answer. I'm gonna mention something here real quick. It's more likely that they actually do know about this dungeon than they don't. And again, this is Beatrice telling this part of the story to a battler that's not in the room to observe where she's lying and where she's, fabricating magic and shit. So of course she's gonna cover the alibis of Shannon and Canon if they are actually accomplices, which they might be. They very well might be. Probably all the servants are accomplices, to be honest. We definitely know Maria's an accomplice. But there's no way that Beatrice will let Badler know that Shannon and Canon are accomplices unless she has to, basically. So Kyrie asks the question, she doesn't believe them. That's our clue as, actual readers of this scenario. That they probably are hiding the fact that they know about this dungeon. The fact that they know that they helped put these people in this dungeon themselves. Like, what really happened probably is that Shannon and Canon drugged everybody in the dining hall. They fell asleep and they carried them one by one to this goddamn dungeon area. Then they pretended to wake up with them inside the fucking locked, dungeon. And now they're asking, are you guys aware of this dungeon? Like, no, we don't know about this, even though we carried your asses here. A second ago, we drugged your food, so it made you fucking fall asleep, so we could carry you here. That's probably what happened in reality. But in the way that Beatrice is telling this shit, yeah, magic killed 6 people upstairs. Magic made a portal appear that drove these people, a floor down into a goddamn jail cell. It's all magic, right? It wasn't all magic, guys. Spoiler alert, it was not all magic. You gotta come up with some actual plausible, non-magical explanation for that. And my explanation is Shannon and Canon drugged them all. Shannon and Canon dragged them all one by one down to this fucking dungeon. And then pretended to wake up when they all woke up. So, that's what happens here.
いや、シャノンたちが知らないのは事実だろう。何しろ、綺麗好きのシャノンだ。彼女がこの部屋を知っていたなら、もっとピカピカに磨き上げているだろう。この部屋の汚さが、今はそんなことより、これからどうするかの方が先決だと思わんか。その通りです。警察に、いえいえ、それから救急にも早く電話をしなければ。
Good luck with that when the phones are dead. Nanjo's roads ring hollow! He's dumb. Obviously. 6 people had been killed in the dining hall. They had all witnessed the exact moments when the 6 had been killed. And what's more, it had been done by half destroying their heads. Anybody could tell with just a glance that they had been dealt a fatal injury. Everyone understood, except for me, Nanjo, that calling for an ambulance now would be completely meaningless. Thank you for nothing. Right? I mean, I like people that do that, but they're just doing it for fucking to appease these people that have been distraught in these scenarios. Like when you're in a murder situation, well, let's call the cops, let's call the ambulance. No, let's fucking figure out a way to get out of this ourselves. Because what the fuck's the ambulance gonna do here? What the fuck are the cops gonna do when you're about to be killed, right? Nothing. It's time to fucking take control of your goddamn own destiny at this point. Not try to call somebody else to bail you out. There's no way they can get there in time anyway. You're in a landlocked fucking island during a typhoon. They're not going to get there until like 2 days from now, probably. So there's no way that calling the cops is going to solve your problems here. Nanjo, I'm trying to think out the box here instead of giving the easiest answer. Let's call the cops. Let's call 911. Nope, not going to work. No shit, he actually loved Natsui. We all thought that he might have been just using her as a trophy wife, but yeah, she actually had some kind of... He felt some kind of way about her, right? Confirmation. Once again, an impressive silence took control of them. But Kraus shook his head harshly over and over and decided just for now to forget the pain of losing his wife and dedicate himself to figuring out where they were.
みんな聞きたまえ。親父はもうダメだ。口で言って理解や説明が求められる段階にもう。
He actually does speak like Spock, or not Spock, James T. Kirk in Japanese. I'm glad I did Kirk's voice for him. Nobody answered. Without any kind of discussion, by mercy, 6 people had been killed in an instant. And Kinzo had so boldly proclaimed for them to become sacrifices in a 13-person murder ritual. Since they had been locked up in this place, they too probably would become the ritual's next sacrifices before long. Around this time, their eyes were becoming used to the darkness, and bit by bit, they were starting to be able to make out the dungeon's interior. So what do we see in this interior here? What they thought was furniture haphazardly left in the dungeon turned out not to be furniture at all. They were small cages that could be used to imprison a single person, restraining tables, or were those torture racks. At any rate, it was obviously more ghastly than a mere jail cell. Since those objects were rusted and covered in thick layers of dust, there were no doubt that they had been long forgotten. Maybe you could even have called those things Kinzo's sealed and forgotten madness. However, it was in this room that which they had now been locked away. Those objects weren't exactly comforting to people who were locked up, hoping to be released without harm. Without harm.
とにかくここを抜け出そう。私たちは伴侶や友人を失い、涙を流すことに時間を費やしたいが、今はそれ以上に子供たちの身が心配だ。
Won't somebody think of the children, damn it?
お子様方はご無事でしょうか。
祈るしかない。そういえば、熊沢さんと郷田さんはここにはいないな。
ひょっとすると無事に逃げ延びられたのかも。
かもしれませんな。子供たちと合流しててくれれば心強いのですが。
郷田さんはいざという時頼りになるし、熊沢さんは経験豊富で落ち着いてるし、きっと力になってくれると思います。
そうだといいがな。
Shannon and Kraus smiled bitterly a little, but they quickly realized how improper that was and stopped clearing their throats.
楽観はできないよ、姉さん。僕らに続いてもう襲われてしまってる可能性だってある。
同感ね。お父様が食堂で執行したのは魔女の碑文の第1の番の6人殺しなんでしょ。なら第2の番は寄り添いし2人を引き裂け。
That would be Shannon and Cannon, probably, you would
逃
say.
げ隠れて寄り添っている 合田さんと熊沢さんが
Or it could be
もう
Goda and
殺されてい
Kumasao.
る可能性だって否定できないわ。きっとゲストハウスに合流してて子供たちを守ってくれているなんて楽観。
Kirie coldly analyzed the worst case scenario. But for her, even for her, it was heartbreaking to have lost her beloved husband. But right now, the most important thing was protecting that husband's son. So there you go. That's somebody that is thinking correctly about the situation. Yeah, you want to mourn eventually, but you want to get out of this shit first before you mourn. You don't want to like have your mourning be a fucking impotent impetus, I guess is the word, to you getting the fuck out of here safely and soundly. Safe and sound on the ground, then you can fucking cry and mourn, right? Not until then. Along with the other children from becoming sacrifices to the insane family head, she overcame her sadness with the parental urge to protect the children. It seemed that both Kyrie and Kraus were strong enough to forget their grief, if only for the time being. They could let their tears flow later. For now, in order to protect the children, they had to act.
とにかくここを脱出しよう。相当古い牢屋のようだ。なんとか鉄格子を破れないだろうか。室内をくまなく探して脱出手段を探してみよう。
Maybe if you were Braun Breaker from NXT 2.0, you can break those bars. That's in his name, Braun Breaker. Breaking bars? Probably.
ここにはガラクタがいろいろあるわ。何か役に立ちそうな道具とか落ちてないかしら。武器になるものがあるかもしれないし、鉄格子を破れるものがあるかもしれない。
Let's use Cannon's head as a weapon. Let's just bash his head through the fucking... bash his skull through the bars. It'll break eventually, right? Either the skull or the bars will break eventually. One of the two. Kyrie pulled a lighter from her pocket. She herself didn't smoke, but she kept one tucked away in her pocket to light Rudolph's cigarettes. It was an extremely valuable source of light for searching through this dim dungeon.
シャノンはキリエさんを手伝い、室内を探索してくれ。
I order you.
カノンは私と一緒に鉄格子の具合を確かめてみよう。
I order you.
これだけ古い牢屋だ。ひょっとするとガタが来ているかもしれない。
私は何をお手伝いしますか？
体力を温存していてください。
Just stay in the corner and fucking look pretty.
やがてここに親父殿が現れるだろう。
You know you're a fucking accomplice, probably.
親父殿に言葉が届くのは南條先生だけです。
Exactly.
ある意味、南條先生に我々の
In a lot of
命
ways,
は握られてい
in
る
a
か
lot
も
more
し
ways
れ
than
な
one.
い。
Holding your lives in your hand.
私の言葉などもう届きません。申し訳ないが、そのお役には立
No,
て
that's
そうも
nothing new, Nanjo. You're just there for a fucking effect.
なら南條先生のお医者としての知識を貸してください。人間を即座に混沌させるような毒って存在するのかしら。
人間を即座に混沌させる毒？どういうことですか？
私たちは落とし穴に落とされてこの力
There
を
we
落ち
go.
てきたと信じている。
Somebody's thinking, right? So this is what I said before. They probably got drugged and then carried down to this dungeon by probably Shannon, right? She's probably the main culprit here. At least the main accomplice of the culprit. So she overhears Kyrie talking about maybe a drug was administered to us, and now she's like, oh, I gotta throw some shade on this shit real quick, right? So it's very apropos that it's Shannon over here arguing with Kyrie about this latest theory.
あの混乱している場で私たちはそうだったのと信じたわ。でもこの地下牢の広さを測ってみて分かった。この地下牢があの食堂の地下というのはありえないことなのよ。
どうしてありえないってわかるんですか？
姉さんはバカだな。この地下牢は食堂に比べて狭すぎる。
その通り。1番目に落とされたのはクラウス兄さん、2番目が私。クラウス兄さんはこの部屋に落ちてきた時その場を動いたかしら。
お恥ずかしながら落下の痛みでうめいていたよ。そのすぐ傍らにキリエさんがすぐに落ちてきたんだ。
食堂でのクラウス兄さんと私の立ち位置と落下時の落下場所の距離が明らかにおかしいのよ。
確かに言われてみれば、その次に落ちたのは私だから、お二人の位置関係はよく覚えている。食堂でのお二人の間の距離は この部屋よりもあったかもしれない。
So they're giving you like clues here, but again, you can't really buy any of the shit that they're saying, even though they're giving you kind of clues that what you see is not exactly what you're getting. Like this fucking jail cell is not the same dimensions as the dining hall. So we've established that, but still, they're trying to like use logic to sort through why they fell down in the exact order and the exact positions they did. You really can't buy anything here. Again, Paddler's not here to see any of this or listen to any of this. It's not really happening. This is pretty much verbatim Beatrice's story as she wants to tell you it, of how these people are ended up in this dungeon. So it's not reality. You can pretty much sub anything they're saying over here with anything else that should happen or could happen, and it'd be just as valid. So don't believe anything they're saying here. Even though it does give you a clue that you shouldn't just, accept Gap's teleportation powers as, legit.
私たちは落とし穴に落ちてダイレクトにここに落下し
They
た
never
わ。
fell into a pit.
集合する下水道管みたいに一度集められてからここに落ちたわけじゃない。落下は一瞬だったでしょ。そんな凝った排水管みたいな穴を転がされた覚えはないわ。
確かにおかしな花。
それと桐江様のおっしゃる人間を即座に混沌させる毒というのは、
桐江様は多分食堂に落とし穴なんかなかった。
しかし現に私たちは落ちたぞ。
No, you didn't.
落とし穴に落ちたような気がするが正解よ。無理もないわ。そうとしか例えられない体験だったから。
なるほど。つまりこうおっしゃいたいわけです。私たちは落とし穴に、例えば毒矢のようなもので撃たれ瞬時に意識を失い、まるで落とし穴に落ちたよと思い込んでしまっているのかもしれないと。
なるほど。食堂に無数の落とし穴が仕掛けられていて、我々がそれに何十年も気づかず食事をしていたとするよりは。
Yep.
姉さん、時計はある？
懐中時計の
僕の時計もそう。つまり僕たちは食堂での大騒ぎから。
私の時計も同様、我々が混沌させられてどこか時間だけを見るなら、やはり我々は食堂の真下へ落とし穴で落とされたと考えるのが妥当だ。
So the time shit is all bullshit. Don't believe that.
時計の針なんていくらでもいじれるわ。
That or it's just bullshit. You don't really have to, acknowledge anything that they say as truth. It's not fact. If they say it's 11:20, that's not a fact. Battle's not there to say it's 11:20, right? They're not even probably in that goddamn jail cell at this point. They might be in the process of being carried still to the jail cell. They're not always going to be where they say they are. If Battle's not in the scene, don't believe it. That's rule of thumb, episode 4.
私たちが気絶している間に全員の時計を巻き戻したのかもしれない。
Or they just wound the watches back, either way.
その可能性がなかったことは証明不能よ。
落とし穴にせよ混沌させる毒にせよ、私たちは用心するに越したことはないという。
それで南條先生、混沌させる毒は存在するんですか？
それは桐江さんの論法と同じですが、私の知らない未知の毒物にそういう効用のものがないとは証明できません。
There actually is a drug that does that. I know the drug.
用心に越したことはないということね。
It's called roofies.
ごめんなさい。無駄な質問だったわ。ただ、私の仮説により、この地下牢が食堂の真下とは限らないという可能性は示唆できたと思う。
It's called, if you guys have watched one of the latest, Plane Ride from Hell on Vice, the Dark Side of the Ring. H-bombing. It's called H-bombing, baby. You put an H-bomb in somebody's drink, they ain't gonna, they're gonna feel like they're falling down before they pass out. I guarantee you that. So, there's a couple of drugs that does that. But basically, it's roofies.
なるほど。広大な森の中のどこかに隠されていると噂される親父どもの 隠し屋敷の地下牢に運び込まれている可能性もある。ここを脱出して外へ出ればそれもわかる。それを詮索するのはここから出てからでもいいだろうな。
Good luck with that.
その通りね。本当にごめんなさい。さっきから無駄な質問と詮索ばかりだわ。
いや、とても頼もしいよ。今後も何かに気づいたら教えてくれたまここを脱出する何かのヒントになるかもしれない。ルドルフからいつも聞かされていたよ。君の発想にはいつも驚かされ、時には重要なヒントにもなるとね。君がここにいてくれたのは不幸中の幸いだ。
ありがとう。私もルドルフさんに聞いてるわ。クラウス兄さんは普段は威張っているけれど、いざという時は責任感にあふれる頼りがいのある兄だって。
Again, they're the two most dependable adults of the bunch, which isn't saying too much, to be honest. It's like being the nicest guy in prison, but they're definitely better than everybody else in the Ushurimiya family as far as the adults go. Maybe Natsu's a close third. I like Natsu.
さすがにそれは世辞が過ぎるね。くそ。それにしても頑丈な鉄格子だ。カノンの方はどうかね。
いえ、こちらも全く。
Who is talking here? I guess Cannon, right? Kraus and Cannon tried wiggling each of the bars in various ways. There were a few bars that could be twisted, and a few felt like they had enough room to rattle around a little bit. But even so, they could not be broken with human strength alone. However, there was still hope if they could use some kind of lever-like tool, or lever, if you will. It was still far too early to give up yet. The children's lives were hanging in the balance. Even if there was no hope, they couldn't stop their struggle. It was better even for them to act this way. If they were to stop, there was no doubt that they would once again be overcome by the grief of losing their loved ones and crouch down clutching their knees. On my knees, baby, baby, please, baby, 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 please. Beatrice,
キリエさ
please.
んたちの方はどうかね。何か見つかったかね。
握って隠せる程度の石ころは見つかるわ。こんなものでも武器にはなるかも。さすがに鉄格子を削り取ることは無理でしょうね。
Ouch.
シャノンちゃんはどう？
いいえ、何も。あ、これ電話です。
繋がってるわけもないわ。でもコードは何かを縛ったり武器にも使えるかも。
If I recall, it is connected, but it's connected to the actual network in the island. So not connected to the outside world, but you can call other rooms with that phone.
壊して分解すれば金属部品を取り出せるわ。
Let's see, though. Let's see.
クラス兄
If I
さん、
remember correctly.
鉄格子を開ける鍵穴はもちろんあるわよね。
ああ、だいぶ鍵穴の大きい大時代的なものだがね。針金のようなものでいじれば騙せるかもしれないな。
There you go.
電話の金属部品で何か代用できるかもしれない。その電話武器になるわね。
投資と同じだよ。情報は武器だ。
Kraus and Kyrie together laughed at this way of putting the phone to use, which didn't remotely look as if it had means of communication. Like a
Nani?
communications officer, like Uhura, who's a lieutenant.
その電話繋がってるかなって思って。
バカだな、姉さんは。
Baka baka baka.
あれ？
Suddenly, Sharon let out a small surprised cry.
キリエ様、この電話繋がってます。
なんですって？
What? It's like when people move out of the office, taking everything with them, leaving only the telephone behind. That's the feeling the phone gave off, having been left in the corner of the cell. The cord was wound to a coil, one end of it being swallowed by the wall. And at the glance, it looked as if it could possibly be connected. But to think if it actually was, it was! Kiria took the receiver from Shannon and pressed it to her ear. The electric hum was certainly the one in which she was familiar. The phone was indeed live.
なんということね。警察へ連絡しましょう。
待ちたまえ。話がうますぎる。盗聴されているんじゃないのかね。
そんな細工するくらいなら普通は電話線を切
They can bug it all day. You can still call the cops, though, right? But again, it's not connected to the actual landline, whatever it is.
電柱が本気で見落とした可能性が気づかれたら今度こそ電話線を切断、警察への通報を盗聴されて何も困ることはないのだし。
Exactly. That did make sense. The point of a wiretap was to overhear some important piece of information, but the way things were now, they could not think of a single thing that would come up in a conversation to the outside world that could be problematic or troublesome to have heard. Kyrie instantly concluded that it was more likely to be a mistake on Kinzo's part than a trap.
確かに外線は確か0番からだ。
カノン君、私は電話するからあなたは外の様子を伺ってくれる？誰かが近づいてくる気配があったら知らせて。
はい。
Kenon raced off towards the iron bars, silences breathing as strange as the ears. As everyone present watched her, Kyrie dialed, "The police! 110. However, she pushed the hook down repeatedly and redialed. It didn't seem to be working very well.
外線は0番から110番は0110じゃないの？うまくかからない。
You can't get the outside line, baby.
貸したまえ。私がかけよう。
Give me the fucking phone, girl. Kraus took the receiver in Kyrie's place and tested various things. But in the end, they were unable to notify the police. The phone itself was definitely alive, but the circuit was apparently cut somewhere. Does this mean they were not so naive?
やっぱ
Whoever they are.
り無理ですか。
敵も甘くはないってことね。
Kyrie let out a deep sigh, leaning against the wall, and hung her head for a while. As tough a girl she was, for a brief moment she actually might have had the naive hope that the phone could actually work. She sneered at herself for mockingly holding onto that naive hope even for one moment. And then she thought back upon just what was happening here. Honestly, despite having been shown that such a thing right before her eyes, or rather exactly because of that, she could still not think of that gruesome mass murder as something real. It was less that she couldn't believe it, and more that she didn't want to. I'm stupefied. Ushiro Kinzo had killed 6 members of his family. Oh my god, no. Oh my god, I'm so surprised, huh? He had summoned a strange witch-like, demon-like people right out of thin air. And with something like magic, he had begun to kill people one after another. Oh my god, oh my god. Too much to handle, too hot to hold, too cold to hold. Even though she definitely saw it, there was no way she could accept that spectacle.
そんなこと。
There was no way!
あれはきっと
Are you
お父さんの
nice?
友人か何か。それがあらかじめ食堂のどこかに隠れていて、手品的に突然姿を現して私たちを驚かせただけなんだわ。そう考えなくちゃあのめちゃくちゃを説明できない。
There's no way. This is your clue here that magic doesn't exist. When Kyrie can explain it using logic, and battles out in the room, you know it's a fake fucking explanation that magic is being involved, and there's no way you can explain this shit. It's fake. But even that, but when those 6 had their heads blown apart, a golden arrow had flown around and around the room. They had truly looked like magic. Fake magic. Was there another thing that we just saw wrong? Yep. No, I mean it wasn't, but it was another thing that Beatrice is telling the wrong way. Because this never really happened the way she told it. There's no way it was magic. There must be some kind of trick to it. Since it was capable of smashing heads, there's no doubt that it was some explosive. Explosive. For example, a styrene toy plane, like they sell at candy stores, painted gold, and with a powerful explosive loaded onto the end of it. Very plausible. That said, at a glance, it seemed to be flying around at random. Kyrie couldn't imagine that such a thing could be fired 6 times and each time perfectly hit the victim square in the head one after another. Surely his flight was computer controlled to seek out and deliver precise hits on his targets, which would make it a high-tech styrene plane on the same level as a guided missile.
そんなバカバカしい仕掛けを膨大な私費を投じて作らせたと？あのおかしな余興のために？お父様ならやりかねないって？
So, this scenario is getting the most, the most strenuous argument against magic in Kyrie. She's the most logical person out of all of them. Now she's believing in magic, basically. That's what this scenario is all about. Trying to frame this this woman Kyrie in a way that where she starts believing in logic and starts sort of believing in magic, which is going to in turn make Battler believe in magic, right? And Battler sees Kyrie saying, "Oh, maybe magic is real." What's he going to say? Oh, well, maybe it is real, right? That's what he's going to say. That's the plan here. Again, you can't believe anything that she, quote-unquote, Kyrie is saying here, because it's not really Kyrie saying this shit. It's Beatrice saying this shit for Kyrie. It's not real. Don't believe it. A number of mysterious people had appeared suddenly out of thin air. 6 people had had their heads demolished by a mysterious golden flying object. And the 5 of us were locked away in a mysterious dungeon by a mysterious set of pitfalls or else put to sleep by some fading poison dart. The family conference started a bit after 10 p.m. It's only been about 30 minutes since then. Probably. Those events, which took place in such a short amount of time, none of us were able to understand nor come to grips with, even though we witnessed them from ourselves. Even if we did get a hold of the police, it probably would be impossible for any of us to accurately explain what we saw. I may have only just witnessed it. My brain's fried and I have no confidence in even what I saw myself. Kyrie had to try her hardest to rouse herself from her overwhelming confusion, just to hold on to her sanity.
クソ、どうなってるんだ。クソ、クソ。
Kraus started to become desperate, hitting the hook multiple times and redialing it over and over. He too was feigning composure, but was unable to hide his panic. The more he redialed, the more pretense of serenity peeled away. None of this makes any sense. Kyrie couldn't help but pray that the events that had just occurred were no more than a dream. Suddenly, the look on Kraus's face changed. Oh no!
呼び出してる。呼び出してるぞ。
Sweet.
コル音がする。
本当ですか、クラウスさん。
なるほどな。親父め、浅はかな。警察に連絡されまいと外部への電話線は切断したらしいが、内線は切断し損ねている。
内線？クラウスさんはどこにかけているの？
ゲストハウスだ。ジェシカたちの部屋の内線番号にかけている。
Here we go. So here we go. Let's explain this a little bit. If Kraus calls the guest house where Battler is, everything that he hears on the phone is at least validated to be true. So whatever audio that he can hear from that guest house, that's actually happening. We don't have the we have the audio, we don't have the video, so to speak. So he doesn't know what exactly happening or who is actually in the room with Kraus. If he's the one that's calling the guest house and he's the one that's talking on the guest house phone, he doesn't know anything else other than the person that's talking is the one that's, you know, speaking for everybody else in this room, who may or may not be alive at that point. But if Battler hears it, it's true. So let's think about it that way, guys. He can't verify the video, he can verify the audio.
もしもし。もしもし。
Moshi moshi.
私だ。お前は誰か。
Who would that be?
ゴーダか。ジェシカはいるか。無事か。
We got Goda answering the phone. Goda is actually answering the phone, and Goda is saying that Kraus is on the other line. That's the only thing we know for sure because, again, Battler is in this scene with Goda. So he knows that this is true. But we gotta believe that Goda's saying the truth, right? He's the one that answered the phone. It's not Battler answering the phone, so we don't know if that's actually Kraus. You gotta think about everything, guys. You gotta question everything here. Because Goda could be in on it. Goda could be pretending that Kraus is still alive when he's not. You know, he could be doing a lot of things here.
父さんなの無事でよかった。母さんは無事なの。そこにいるの。
Alright, so Jessica's hearing this, so it's probably true. Kraus choked on his words. Kraus had clearly seen Natsu's head crushed, had seen her killed right before his eyes. Eventually, he was going to have to tell that to Jessica. My daughter! However, Kraus began to fret over whether he should tell her this very moment, and lost his words. But even that was an answer under these circumstances. Yeah, you hesitate like that, the answer is clear. Well, good answer, but he hesitated too long probably. Yeah, she knows. Jessica's voice was filled with tears. There was no doubt for Kraus anymore. Jessica and the others had been told everything. Start to finish by Goda and Kumasawa when they had met up at the guest house. Yeah, Goda and Kumasawa already saw Natsuki get killed, so, or at least that was the version they told, the magical version that they told. So we don't know if Kumasawa and Goda are in on it. If they are in on it, they would tell the kids that it was all magic that killed the other adults and Genji, I guess. So we can assume that they're in on it at this point. They told the kids that it was magic. There was no magic, right? So we know that they are lying. After they learned that 6 whole people had been killed, Jessica and the others must have been in a frenzy about wanting to go to the dining hall. Luckily, he had been able to call before they stormed off towards the mansion. Kraus was relieved that it's good timing during such tragedy.
ここには今キリエさんと南條先生、それにシャノンとカノンがいる。地下牢のようなところに閉じ込められているが心配するな。こっちは父さんたちで何とかする。どこ？助けに行く。会いに行く。私たちにもここがどこだか見当もつかん。食堂の真下だと思っているが、そうでないかもしれない。とにかくジェシカ、そこを出てはならん。ゴーダたちから経緯は聞いているか？おじい様は今正常な状態にない。出くわせは危険だ。殺されるかもしれない。私たちを助けに来ようなどと絶対に思ってはならんぞ。こっちはこっちで何とかする。じゃあ私たちはどうすればいいの？小さなでよくも母さんたちを死に損ないぶっ殺してやる。ジェシカ、そんな言葉を使ったら母さんが悲しむぞ。レディーはそんな言葉を使うもんじゃない。
Damn.
とにかく
Yeah, Natsuki's actually a good mother.
を最優先にしろ。
Funny, we never saw that for a while.
ゲストハウスを戸締まりするんだ。しかし過信はできない。1階のラウンジの大窓は破られるかもしれない。その部屋にとどまりベッドを立てかけてバリケードにするんだ。その部屋にはトイレも冷蔵庫もあるな。
That's a good advice right there.
明日の朝までは籠城できるはずだ。いいな。
Don't go outside.
物騒なことは考えるな。母さんの仇を取ろうなんて
Stay woke!
絶対に考えるんじゃないぞ。
These ninjas creeping. They gonna find you.
相手を刺激せず
Gonna catch you sleeping.
隠れてやり過ごすことだけを
Stay woke! These ninjas creeping. Don't you close it! After that, Goda took the phone. Who's talking here? Goda, I guess. And Jizgari Ludicrous was told again to watch over the children as a responsible adult. Good gosh, and golly. Goda repeatedly replied, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Cleaver." And in an overstrained voice, his face covered in cold sweat. "Yes, sir, Mr. Cleaver." From there, Kiria received the phone and spoke with Battler, and when Jen and Kenneth got their turn, Jessica and George answered. They don't even give us the conversation that Battler and Kiria had, really. So I love how, so Beatrice is telling the story, but Beatrice glosses over the times when Battler can actually, like, influence the story, right? So when Kyrie and Battler get a chance to talk, she doesn't want to give him that much time to talk, basically. It's funny. Very funny. But we know that would probably be a salient question to know, like, what is true and what is not true, but they don't get any more information than this. And then they go right into Shannon Cannon, getting their turn, George, Jessica, blah blah. Okay. And following that, Nanjo and Kumasawa picked up as well, so all the members of both sides had their turn on the phone, each encouraging the other and confirming that they were at least safe for now, even if the location was unknown. The only time we confirmed anything was when Battler talked with Kyrie. The only thing we know for sure is Kyrie's alive, because Battler talked to Kyrie. Goda could be pretending that he's talking to Jessica, Goda, George, and Kumasawa. Could all be pretending that these people are still alive when they're all dead. The only thing we know is Kyrie's alive. So, remember that. And coming to a complete understanding of the current situation on both sides. They want to talk forever, but now it's not the time to chat. Grouse told them that they will be hanging up for now, and those in the guest house agreed. But we're reasonably sure that they are actually in a prison cell, that they can talk with people in the prison cell. Shannon is there. Everybody else that say they're there are there. You know, we can surmise that at least, even though we're not 100% sure because we can't see it through Battler's eyes. That's something that we can, like, we'll go ahead and say it's true for now. We'll say that everybody there is in the jail cell that's alive. That's true for now. We can't confirm it though. So don't try to say that's true if it's not. Not yet, at least. But we're reasonably sure that everybody that is representing in that jail cell is actually still alive. With that, the phone call ended. Goda and the rest of the men quickly descended the stairs, closed the shutters, and secured the strong locks of the doors. Gee golly willikers. Good gosh almighty, however, just as Krause had worried, there was nothing but that could be done about the beautiful wide window in the downstairs lounge. If this were to be broken, it would be easy for them to get inside. It wouldn't be hard for someone like Hanzo, who hadn't had his head in at committing murder, to invade the front door. The front floor.
武装している可能性が高い。部屋に閉じこもるのが最善かつ唯一の籠城方法になるね。
Yeah, there you go. That's true.
自ら密室に閉じこもらざるを得ないのは苦しいところだけど、相手が銃を持っていたら、
Yep.
それしか方法がない。
Yep.
親方様は実銃のコ
Time to
レ
get
ク
these
ションをお持ちとの
Winchesters out,
話です
baby. Winchester time.
そう、あれは銃だったんだ。
And it's said that a gun is the best counter to magic. Why? Because a gun is a science-based thing, and magic is, you know, not reality. So we have reality versus not reality, which a gun is the perfect counter for. So a gun can kill a mage really easily. That's why.
だとしたら恐ろしい威力の銃だ。
Oh, give me that gun right now, boy! Give it to me.
とても太刀打ちはできません。
Well, he's talking about the Chesters. Haha. Well, which is itself, you know, a counter to the Winchester gun that Kingzo has, because they're called the Chesters, right? So they have their own gun, which is a never missing, never. You don't even have to aim. Basically, they always find their mark, and within like 2 seconds, headshot somebody real quick. Just be double O.
頭を砕くなんてすげえ威力だぜ。マグナム弾とかそういう類のやつかもな。下手な扉なら平気で貫通するかもしれねえな。
だとすればますますに部屋に籠城するべきだね。
He just told you the fucking door doesn't do anything, George, you idiot. A magnum gun's gonna go through a door and go through somebody's skull real quick, you fucking dipshit. So I'd be more worried than you are about barricading yourself in the fucking room without any escape. You're barricaded in the room, where the fuck you gonna go when they blast the fucking door apart with a magnum? Huh? Genius? Fucking stupid?
ベッドを立てかけて窓も塞ごう。
Fucking bed's not gonna block a goddamn bullet.
そこまですれば
Or a window.
いくら銃を持っていても踏み込むことはできない。
What? He just told you!
くそ、そんな受け身な防戦一方しかねえのかよ。くっしょー、うちの親父に上等を決めてくれてキリエさんまで捕まえたなんて。
So at this point, this is what Batter believes in episode 4. That his grandfather is the culprit, but again, this is what he's being told. He hasn't seen any of this shit through his own eyes. He's being told this by Kumasawa, by Goda, by Kraus over the phone, by Kyrie over the phone. He hasn't seen any of this shit yet, so this is all probably a lie.
無理です。あんな連中に太刀打ちできるわけが。
And they're all laying down thick, aren't they? Especially Goda.
しかも親方様だけでなく手下も何人も。
Be right back. I'm gonna keep it on auto here, though.
あるいはあんな連中がもっといるかも。あいつらは一体何なんだ。
兄貴だって悔しいだろ。なのにここで籠城なんて。ちくしょう。
もちろんさ、僕だって悔しいよ。両親を殺されて冷静でいられるわけがない。でもだからこそ冷静にならなくちゃいけない。僕たちが無駄に命を落とすようなことを殺された親たちが望むと思うかい？思うわけがない。せめて子供だけは逃げ延びてほしいと願ってるはずだ。だから僕は生き残るよ。そして警察に通報し全てを暴く。仇は法廷が取る。それが僕の復讐だ。差し違えてでも仇を取ってほしいなんて親たちが望んでいるわけもない。そうだろう。
そうだな、兄貴の言う通りだぜ。ちくしょう、クソじじいめ。何が儀式だ。俺たちがそのための生贄だって言うなら意地でも逃げ切ってその儀式を台無しにしてやるぜ。
それでいいよ。それにバトラ君にはまだキリエさんがいる。僕にだってシャノンがいる。とにかく慎重に行動してチャンスを待とう。僕たちの不用意な行動は囚われの彼らに不利益を与える可能性だってあるんだから。
人質か。でもじい様はきっとキリエさんたちを生贄にするために捕らえたわけだろ。俺たちが助けなきゃ殺されるのを待つだけじゃないのか。
彼らが捕らえられている地下牢がどこにあるかもわからない。シャノンもカノン君ももちろんゴーダさんも熊沢さんも知らなかった。おじい様だけしか知らない秘密の場所にある可能性が極めて高い。そんな状況下でうろうろと歩き回るのは自殺行為だよ。
分かってるよ。それでもくそ、俺たちはここで何かが起こるまで引きこもってるしかねえってのかよ。
バトラ様のお気持ちは分かりますが、ここは安全第一で参りましょう。旦那様の話では相当古い牢屋らしいので、なんとか鉄格子を破れるかもしれないとのことでした。今は信じて待つ方が賢明です。
おじい様の手下が何人もいて、みんな武装しているんだよね。
ええ、そうです。そして多分みんな武装を。
熊沢さん大丈夫？お茶飲む？
ありがとうございますね。ありがとうございます。申し訳ございませんが、しばらくそっとしていただけますか。
マリア、気を使ってくれてありがとうだぜ。熊沢さんは休ませてやってくれ。
Jessica too showed consideration for Kumasawa, certain of the shock she must have received after witnessing such a tragedy, but her imagination couldn't even come close to the impossible scene Kumasawa had witnessed. So Kumasawa and Goda both are like, they're holding back on saying 100% what they saw, quote unquote. So there are two schools of thought on why they would be doing this here. First school of thought, like Goda said, oh yeah, I'm not going to tell Balor what I saw about these witches, these females, are all under Kinzo's control, because they think all these people here would think I'm crazy, right? So I'm not going to tell them about the magical shit. Or two, Goda's not going to tell them about this because it never happened that way, right? Of course it never happened that way. It was somebody with a magnum gun, basically, under Kinzo. Or whoever's being called Kinzo, right? It probably wasn't Kinzo, to be honest. Kinzo's dead. It was somebody who dressed up as Kinzo, maybe. Or maybe just called themselves Kinzo. And made sure that they left an impression in Goda's mind that it was somebody that should be called Kinzo. He made that impression, and he or her, whatever, ended up killing people. And Goda doesn't want to, like, maybe say the entire truth for some reason, but it's not magic, basically. So that's the second scenario, like, oh, he didn't say that it's a magical kill because it's not a magical kill. And in the first scenario, he doesn't say it's a magical kill because, oh, well, everybody think you're crazy because magic is not a thing. So in either case, he doesn't say that there's a magical kill. To Balor, so Balor doesn't know that there's any magic involved in this scenario. That's why he came up with the theory about it being a magnum gun, right? Not like a magical fucking gun. Same with Kumasawa. Nevertheless, her mother having been killed and her father having been captured, there was no way that Jessica could stay calm either. She still had her anxiety and sadness, using her anger towards Kinzo and walked irritatedly around the room.
熊沢母さんは本当に死んじゃったの？
ええ。あんなひどい死に方を私は見たことがありませんとも。
ひょっとするとまだ生きてて手当てをすれば助かるなんてことはないんだよな。
Now with your face blown off like that.
頭があんなことになって生きていられるわけが。 せん。
ありえない。ありえない。
そりゃそうだぜ。頭が砕けちまったら手当てなんて必要ねえよな。普通。
You can't reattach the head at that point. Go to camp, confined out at the guest house, covering the agitation. He had told about the massacre, blah blah blah. Blah blah. In other words, they had been sugar-coated the cold-blooded way and that's who he died. Much too late now, Kumsao regretted having said too much. Lightly shaking her head with painful logic and spoke. It's pretty
む
fast.
しろ話してくれたおかげで冷静になれたぜ。頭を砕かれちまったってところを伏せられてたら、私はひょっとすると生きてるかもしれないって言って屋敷へ向かいじい様に出くわして、ひょっとすると殺されてたかもしれない。
You saved your life.
一末の希望が命取りになった可能性だってあるわけさ。その意味では感謝してるよ。
本当に申し訳ございません。言葉をあまりに選ばなかったことはお詫びします。
今はいいよ。母さんはもうどうしようもないけど、父さんはまだ生きてる。カノン君もシャノンもキリエおばさんも南條先生もね。なんとか彼らを助けたいし、彼らに負担をかけないためにも余計なことをするべきではない。電話の前で待機してることが今は一番の協力になるかもしれないし。
There could be a phone call, blah blah blah, or perhaps the others might learn the location and call for rescue. Jessica understood that in order to act promptly when the time came, the only thing they could do for the time being was to wait in this room. And wait and wait and wait. And calculate. George Badler Goda returned, having finished checking all the locks downstairs. Each of the three was holding a bunch of different objects. George had things like drinks, canned foods, crackers, other types of snacks, and he had found in the lounge and pantry as well as a first aid kit. All consumables that could be indispensable when they are locked down. Goda had a large folding ladder and carpentry tools. Those were so that, in case of emergency, they could nail over the door from the inside to seal it. If it came to that, the ladder was for escaping out the window. Yeah, did Badler bring the fucking guns? We need the guns here, guys, right? Where's the Winchesters at? Badler brought up the objects which could be used as weapons such as blades and poles. Where the fucking guns at? The kitchen knives went without saying. The disassembled table legs could be used as clubs. And the pole, roughly the size of a person, which had been made by taking apart a hat stand, could surely be used as a spear even though it had no point. There's no point to it, it's pointless. There was a good possibility that the enemies were carrying guns, so it was dubious whether these would be of any use. Where's the fucking guns at, dude? It's still better than not having them. And if those things could provide at least a little peace of mind, then they could also expect some kind of calming effect from them. Then they placed beds and sofas from around the room up against the door, barricading it. They didn't go so far as to seal it up with nails. There was still a chance that Krause and the others would escape and come to meet up. They had apparently set up a barricade at the top of the stairs as well. It would have been designed to create a racket so that it would work in place of a warning alarm too. It was apparently Badler's idea. That's pretty smart. For that reason, they turned off the TV, so that if the first floor window were to be broken, they would know by the sound. Once the switch had been turned off, all that was left was an eerie silence. So, the way they set this up, basically, and Badler's been having a hand in all the setup, there's no way somebody can come in without them knowing that they're coming in to this room. So they'd hear it from the first floor. If somebody went past the barricade, they'd hear that shit. Somebody broke in the window on the first floor, they'd hear that shit. The only way they can come into this room, literally, is via magic. So Badler would not hear that at that point if it's magical based, or if somebody is a accomplice and helps him in, then exactly he wouldn't hear it as well. So there are some suspect people here. Kumasao and Goda are the main culprits that are suspect. Maria, I already told you guys, is an accomplice. So those three would be the main culprits. If Badler doesn't hear anything and somebody comes into this room from the outside, it's one of those three that let him in. point blank period. If they're dead and somebody comes in the room, magic exists. Probably. The sound of the violent wind and the rain. Are they going to have to spend the whole night in such a crushing suspense? The boat was meant to be coming tomorrow morning. However, judging by the weather report, the typhoon was expected to continue all day tomorrow and the boat probably wouldn't come. The typhoon would pass in the morning and the day after tomorrow. In other words, the boat will be coming the morning of the day after tomorrow, as in the morning of October the 6th. It's October the 4th, damn it. And right now, it was late at night, October the 4th. That's too long. That's why I said calling the cops would do shit. They couldn't come until October the 6th. But everybody is fucking dead, confirmed. In the future, they're already dead by October the 6th. They have to spend more than 30 hours from this island. With Kenzo turned cold-blooded murderer and this weird companions prowling about, ain't no way to spend 2 days. Even with the shutters closed, there would definitely be a little bit of light seeping out. It might let the enemy know that they were hiding there. Battler suggested that it might be best to turn off the lights. Fuck them. They had already been taken over by such gaseous fame from just turning off the TV. There wasn't anyone who directly challenged the proposal, but then again, there wasn't a single other person who agreed to it. It's all democracy here.
テレビダメなの？
ああ、悪いが我慢してくれ。敵の侵入の音を聞き逃すわけにはいかない。
つまんない。
Even though she had been told that the mother had died, Maria alone somehow didn't seem to feel an approaching sense of danger. Well, she already killed her a couple thousand times in her dream, so it's fine. It seems she was quite displeased with having the TV turned off. Even with this bizarre situation in front of her, she can't share our sense of danger? Because she's so young? Too badly right now, seeing that young girl act in a way that was even slightly out of place made him feel that there was something very eerie about Maria. She just has a bad mother, that's all. Don't know anything about that, Battler. She had no mother. She's
とは
dead.
言ったものの
There's her stepmother, though.
晩作尽きたわね。鉄格子はなんとかなりそう？
残念だが想像以上に堅牢だ。いつ頃に作られたものか知らんが耐用年数も文句なし。実に優良な物件だよ。
Kyrie chuckled softly. They had no moves they could make, but the mood just calmed a little.
さながらここは取られた駒を置く駒置き場ですな。打つ手はもはやありませんか。
まだよ。諦めるには早いわ。思考の停止は鼓動の停止に同じよ。
だな。チェスの駒置き場に意味はないが、将棋ならば大きな意味を持つこともある。駒置き場の一枚の歩が相手にプレッシャーを与えることだってあるはずだ。
なるほど。しかしこの鉄格子はどうしようも。
私たちにはね。でもここの場所を特定し、郷田さんに連絡することができれば助けに来てもらうことはできるかも。
なるほど。しかし郷田さんに危険を強いることになりますな。
He'll be alright.
その場合、成人男性が不在になるゲストハウスのお子さんたちも不安です。
リスクを恐れるなら事態が好転するまで塩漬けにするのも悪くない。もっとも損切りを恐れれば紙切れ同然になるかもしれんがね。我々の命がだが。
親の子犬もね。私たちで何とかするからおとなしくしていなさいって偉そうに電話して、その下の根も乾かないうちに助けを求めるなんて実に格好悪いわね。
この後に及んではくだらんプライドなどとっくに紙切れだ。知恵を絞ろうじゃないか。ここはどこなんだ。 本当に食堂の真下なのだろうか。それとも屋敷とは異なる別の場所だろうか。
Krause, Kyrie, and Nando began to discuss their plans. Time to plan, baby. Kenan was squatting by the bar, silently trying to sense anyone's presence. He's still doing that. After like an hour, right? Just as he had been ordered an hour ago. What a fucking piece of furniture ass. Shannon came close to him, and they both squatted down together.
気配は感じるの？
こちらに意識は向けていないけれど、比較的近くに誰かいる。
それは人間？
ヤギたちだと思う。あいつらの吐息は実に賑やかだよ。
Kenan's ability to sense the presence of others was several levels above that of a human. He described their breathing as noisy, but Krause and the rest couldn't even pick up the slightest hint of it. Therefore, even if he had simply reported it, they would have merely doubted his ears.
捕まっちゃったね。
They got us.
珍しいよ。殺されないで捕まるなんて。
今回はベアトリーチェ様がお越しにならないし、親方様が書斎を出られるし、何が何だかわかんないね。
So they're talking like they're from the meta world too now. Which is very interesting here. Of course, they are pieces of furniture. Well, why would furniture would say, if they're just furniture and not like magical furniture, right? They're just human furniture. Why would they say this time? Wherever the fuck it was. Well, they said something like that. This time, you know, this episode, right? We got caught. We got this time. And now we don't know what the hell's going on because this is the first time, you know, Kinzo has disappeared. The master. Like, what the fuck? Wait a minute. Didn't she say it this time? Or just say, okay, it's unusual for this time. Be captured without killed. That's what they're meaning, though.
わかるさ。何が起ころうと変わろうと、すべてあの魔女の気まぐれと余興。
Yeah. So this is another clue. The witch is telling the story, and it's this part especially without Battler in it. She's controlling everything that's happening here.
結果は何も変わらないのさ。
今回は黄金鏡に行けるかな。
さあね。僕たちは脱落率が高いから。
そういえば二人で第一の番を生き延びたのってずいぶん珍しいね。儀式が始まってるのにこうして二人でお話できるなんてなんだかすごく珍しい気がする。
That's a big clue, by the way. Big clue. I won't say anything more than that. Big clue.
そうかもね。でもそれもまた魔女の余興だろうさ。僕たちがいつもすぐに脱落するから今度は少し生き延びさせてからかってやろうくらいにしか思ってないよ。
また黄金鏡にはたどり着けないのかな。
どうせそうさ。下手な期待を持つとまたつけ込まれる。
Oh, I don't know. Kenan, you, Shannon are alive. Jessica, George are alive. People you claim to love, allegedly, right? So you never know. Things could work out in episode 4. Or they haven't so far.
そうだね。前回はカノン君がつけ込まれたもんね。
Again, more confirmation this is meta world Shannon talking. Because how would she know about other episodes, right? How would she know about episode 1 and 2? Where Kenan did get taken advantage of. Or episode 3, right?
僕はバカだ。
Baka. Kenan made a sour look and turned his head. Shannon left softly and apologetically leaned towards his shoulder.
でもお嬢様が無事でよかったね。
第一の番を逃れただけさ。それ以降の番に より無残な方法で殺されるのを待たされているだけかもしれない。
The lady is Jessica, by the way.
それを言ったら姉さんこそジョージ様が無事でよかったじゃないか。二人で黄金鏡にたどり着けるといいね。
ありがとう。同じことをカノン君とお嬢様にも。
僕は期待はしてないよ。姉さんの言う通りだ。あの魔女はご褒美をぶら下げて相手が右往左往するのを見て、どうせ誰も黄金鏡に行けやしない。僕がお嬢様と黄金鏡にたどり着きたいと願ってしまったなら、あいつはそれこそ面白がって絶対に僕たちをたどり着かせたりはしないさ。
そうだね。ベアトリーチェ様はより面白くなるように生贄の順番を考えてる。
無作為に選んでるなんて大嘘だ。あのペテン師魔女め。どうせ黄金鏡にたどり着けばあらゆる願いが叶うなんてのも嘘っぱちに決まってる。
So even though this scene is not happening, this is true. Everything that Canon says here. Canon says a lot of shit that's antagonistic to Beatrice, which makes most of the shit he says true about these scenarios. But the circumstances in which he says them are false, though. So we can't believe that he's actually in this room, in this locked dungeon with Shannon at this point in time, saying this shit. But he does believe this to be true, basically, and it's pretty much true what he says here. The shit's not random. That the shit is fucking being specifically chosen by Beatrice, and as far as the order of people's deaths go, it's not random at all. You know, he meant to kill Rosa last, to have Rosa be sent to the meta world so that Maria could, like, you know, torture her for a while before she wakes up back in the chessboard and acts all weird and shit in front of Battler and Jessica and George before they meet up with Kumasawa and Goda. This is all planned. This is all fucking definitely planned by Beatrice.
そんなことはないよ。黄金鏡は素晴らしいところだよ。
行ったことあるの？
ちょっぴりだけね。それすらもベアトリーチェ様の戯れだったのだろうけど。
どんなとこなの？そこ。
うん。素晴らしいところだよ。
I think this is episode 3,
うま
right?
く説明でき
When
ない。
Battler was almost ready to accept the terms of Virgilia and Beatrice's
バラが先に乱れてて美しい蝶が待
That's
って
what
る
she's talking about.
極楽みたいな感じ。
そういう具体的なイメージのところじゃないの。本当に夢の中みたいなところなの。そこにいるときはとても穏やかで安らかで、いつまでも眠ってることを許されてる。まるで休日の早朝のお布団の中みたいな感じ。カーテンの隙間から日が差してきて、そろそろ起きないと思うんだけど、今日は休日だから起きなくてもいいんだって気づいて、もう一回お布団の中に
That's what I did today.
込む時みたいな、
I feel that.
そんな気持ちになれる場所。
I love that.
僕なら損したと思うな。休日なのに勘違いして起き出すなんて姉さんくらいだ。
No, I got up too, dude.
うん。
Don't get up, shame me,
そこにいた
dog.
時はね、満たされててとても穏やかだった。でも元の世界に戻ってくると、つい直前までそこにいたはずなのにうまく思い出すことができないの。ついさっきまで見ていた夢が思い出せないのによく似てる。でもとっても穏やかで静かな世界だったことだけは覚えてるの。
それだけ？なんだ、あいつが偉そうに言う黄金鏡なんて大したことないな。何でも願いが叶う場所だと思ってたのに。
その通りだよ。何でも願いが叶う場所。少し違うかもしれない。何も願わなくてもいい場所が正解かもしれないね。例えばカノン君が寒くて上着が欲しいと願った時、上着をもらえればとても幸せなことだけど、そもそも暖かい部屋にいられたなら上着が欲しいなんて願う必要さえもないでしょ。 黄金鏡はそういうところなの。大抵の願いは願う必要さえなくなる。全てから解放された何もかもが穏やかな世界なの。与えられて幸せという概念さえも超越した全てから解放された世界
Sounds like Nirvana to
とで
me.
も言えばいいのかな。
なんだか宗教っぽい世界だな。
Sounds like the afterlife,
そ
Nirvana,
してそこで
heaven,
は全てが平等なの。
paradise.
意志ある存在は全てが平等。人間も家具も魔女もない。そこでの私は誰とも対等で公平。もう家具だからと何も自分を恥じる必要がない。全ての人間とも、そして魔女とさえ対等な本当に幸せな世界だったの。
What?
うまく思い出せないけど、そこでは私ベアトリーチェ様とさえ対等な関係で良い友達でいられた気がする。
あの魔女がいるならろくな理想郷じゃないよ。
Haha.
で、その幸せな黄金鏡に姉さんはジョージ様と一緒に行きたいわけだ。おかしな話だね。黄金鏡は全てが満ち足りた理想郷なわけでしょ。ジョージ様がいなくても十分に満
Exactly.
たされてそうだけど。
I think everybody would be content if George wasn't there.
黄
Right?
金鏡はね、とても穏やかで安らかで全てが対等で公平だけれど、幸せだけ実は抜けてるの。
幸せな世界じゃないの？
もちろん安らかで穏やかで公平というだけですごい幸せな世界だよ。でもそれは例えるなら全ての悩みというマイナスから解放されたゼロの世界なの。人の世はマイナスで満ちてるから、もちろんゼロというのはものすごい幸福なわけだけど、それでもゼロなの。贅沢だよね。それはこういう感じ。穏やかな休日の朝のまどろみの時、最愛の人も隣にいてくれて手を握っててくれたなら、もっともっと素敵な幸せになれるみたいな。
Debatable.
ごめん、姉さんは例えが下手くそだね。バカだから。
つまり姉さんにとっての最高の幸せとはジョージ様と一緒にその世界にたどり着くことってわけだ。
そしてきっとカノン君にとってはお嬢様と一緒
Well,
に
I'm gonna spoil something and tell you that's a lie right there. She doesn't care about George
二人は悩みから
at
解
all.
放され、
As she shouldn't. But that's what she says,
おかし
though,
な
at
宗教を
least.
吹き込まれてるみたいだ。僕はもっとこう俗物的な魔法の薬を与えられると人間に生まれ変われるとか、そういう感じの世界を想像してたよ。
行けばわかるよ。ベアトリーチェ様が本当に気まぐれな方なら、いつかきっとカノン君にも垣間見させてくれるに違いない。そうすれば姉さんの例えがよくわかるようになるから。
ま、過剰な期待はしないことにしとくよ。いずれにせよ今回の僕たちはこれでゲームオーバーみたいだし、
Game over.
別の機会に期待するさ。
そうだね。おかしな期待を持つとベアトリーチェ様にまたつけ込まれる。何も考えずただ運命に身を任せるのが私たちには一番かもしれない。
僕たちはただチェスの駒であればいいんだ。何を考えても考えなくてもどうせ魔女のチェス盤からは逃れられない。後のお役目はどういびり殺されるか。そんな僕らに黄金鏡の夢なんて虚しすぎる。
そう、ごめん。
Kennen shrugged his shoulders, then told Shannon to leave him alone because he was interfering with his duty, distancing himself from her. Realizing her thoughtlessness in bringing up such an inappropriate topic and instead hurting Kennen, Shannon bit her lower lip and stared into the ground. She wouldn't bother him anymore. She went off and squatted in a corner by herself. At that moment, Kennen twitched. It was like the ears of a cat when it reacts to a faint sound.
どうしたの？
旦那様、誰か来ます。
何？
They ended their conversation and strained their ears. For a while they couldn't hear anything, but before long they were able to hear the sounds of a large group of people walking.
おいでなすったわね。
年貢の納め時かさもなくも。
私が金蔵さんと話しまなんとかここの場所を聞き出してみます。
期待してるわ。
Nobody's expecting shit from you, Nanjo. Don't worry. During the last phone call, Kiri had asked what time was over at the guest house was. It had been the same as her watch, and by this time she had learned that their watches hadn't been set back. It wasn't just the clocks on the wall in the guest house, several people's watches, including George's and Gordas, had matched. If that was the case, then after the massacre in the dining hall, they had been transported to the dungeon only in a few minutes. Not enough time had passed for them to be knocked out and carried away. But those were really pitfalls, meaning that this was the area directly underneath the dining hall. All they could do was pray that Nanjo could find out where this was.
来ます。多分、人数は4人。親方様。並びに、食堂に姿を現したうちの3人かと。
もう十分だ。君も後ろに下がりたまえ。あとは私たちで応対す。
シャノンちゃん、申し訳ないけど、電話のところに座ってもらえる？スカートで電話を隠して。
Alright. Presents came closer, and there was the sound of a heavy door being opened at the other end of the corridor. The light that they were apparently carrying illuminated the dimly lit corridor, stoking the walls with razor-sharp shadows. And then the light from the lantern they held lit up the prisoners through the bars. The bars' sharp shadows divided them up lengthwise. And when you're gone, I sleep diagonal in my bed. When you're there, I sleep lengthwise. And when you're gone, I sleep diagonal in my bed. When you're there, I sleep lengthwise. There are 4 fingers there. It was Kinzo, Ronove, Virgilia in all caps, like I said. All caps because she's a mage. Or a witch. Or a magical witch. And Gap, who is not a magical witch, but she's a demon.
後ろ宮家当主ゴールドスミス教のおなりでございま
But
す。
he is a golden warlock, right? Goldsmith. So he's in all caps too. That's how that works. If you're a witch of some kind, your name's in all caps.
皆様、ご静粛。
Silence! Turn off your cell phones, baby.
ゴールドスミス？
親父殿のペンネームだ。怪しげな魔導書を書くとき、そういう名を署名しているようだ。
金蔵を英語風に？それならゴールドウェアハウスが正しいんじゃないの？
What?
ウェアハウスは倉庫。ただ溜め込むに過ぎぬ。しかし私は金を生み出し、細工し、さらに価値を高めるのだ。スミスの方がよりふさわしいと思わんかね。
確かに無駄口を失礼しました。
金蔵さん、これはどういうことなんだね。ここは一体どこなんだ。
おや、我が友よ。思い出せんかね。さすがにその牢の中に入った経験はないだろうが、この廊下を歩いた記憶はあるはずだ。
They're in Kuladorian, probably.
まさか。
心当たりがあるの？
いや、しかし。
Inconceivable!
第一、私たちは落とし穴に落ち、しかもほんの数分でここに閉じ込められたのですが、そんなことは物理的に、距離的にありえない。
人間にはね。
お父さん、この屋敷にこんな地下があった。
フラウス、お前たちがその存在をささやき、何度か私の後をつけ回して探ろうともしたではないか。 それがここだよ。いや、正確にはそこの地下という。
まさかここはフワドリアンの地下ですか？
ご検察の通りです。こちらはクワドリアンの地下でございます。
クワドリアン。
クワドリアン、まさか噂の親父殿の隠し屋敷なのか。
Hidden no more.
本当に実在したのか。
我が最愛の魔女ベアトリーチェのためだけに築いた屋敷である。地上部分は美しき上品な屋敷なのであるが、そこを案内できず実に残念に思うぞ。
こんな牢屋があるお屋敷で二人きりなんて素敵ね。どうもお父様とは性癖が合わないみたいよ。
Saying he's kinky as fuck.
キリエさん、無礼な発言はお控えになった方が賢明です。
Aw, come on, Virgilia. You know better than that. Just having fun.
でも同感や。私も送られた屋敷にこんな力があったら100年の恋も冷めて金目のものだけいただいてとんずらつきよ。
Yep.
おや、そういうご趣味はございませんか。てっきりキュンキュンしちゃうとばかり。
もちろんキュンキュンしちゃうわよ。誕生日のプレゼントに首輪なんかもらっちゃったりしたらね。ただしイケメンに限る。
Oh, it's gotta be a stud. That's her thing. She can only take views from studs.
お静かに。首輪より猿靴輪が必要です。
Oh, Virgilia doesn't like that.
あら、あなたはそっちもいけちゃうの？リアって好き嫌いないのね。
Leah.
勝手に人の名前をリアクさせてください。
ねえ、やかましいぞ女たち。
Are you fucking misogynist bitch?
お前たちも同じ牢に閉じ込められたいというのか。
これは失礼いたしました、親方様。この牢体にこのような寒い牢獄では身が持ちませぬ。
Virgilia quickly apologized, but God merely laughed together with Ronaldo. They demons, they don't give a fuck. You can't fucking threaten me with a good time, boy. Like she was saying, she wouldn't be captured. Or else, see that even if she were to be captured, it'd be meaningless. You know, you can't really fucking trap Gap in a fucking prison. Just fucking portal herself out of there real quick, dumbass.
牢とは捕らえ逃がさぬこと。
Except for Gap.
それはすなわち生涯手放さぬとの強い意志と愛である。逃げても諦められる程度の女ならば愛を語るに値しない。
Interesting. That sounds like a stalker, or a definitely obsessed individual who can't take no for an answer, right?
鎖で縛ってでも逃がしたくないと思うほどに苦しくなる女。
Well, confirmation of that, right? Definitely a stalker.
そこまでに至ってこそ我が生涯を捧げるに値する愛である。お前にそれを分かれとは言わぬ。
Yeah, nobody understands that, dude.
私は誰にも縛れない。縛られない。愛されたいんじゃないの。愛したいの。
Same.
私もゴールドスミスと同じよ。だからよくわかるわ。
Well, I mean, it is madness, though.
狂気。
The way he does it, it's madness.
愛と狂気は紙一重というわけか。実に旗迷惑な話だ。
しかしあっさり所在地が分かったのは大きいわ。詳しい経緯は後で聞くけど、南條先生はここをご存知なのね。
So, let's just explain a little bit here. So Nanjo says he knows where Kuwadorian is. That makes him a fucking liar, right? All these times that these kids have been looking for this hidden mansion on this goddamn island for all these goddamn decades. Not years, decades. He's known this entire time where this fucking hidden mansion was. He's known that this guy has been hiding, you know, the Beatrice that we saw die on the cliffs with Rosa in episode 2. He knew where the fuck this shit was, but he never said anything. Or I'm sorry, episode 3. It was episode 3. But Nanjo, again, who's always been an accomplice, he's known where this shit was the entire time. So now, you can't trust Nanjo as far as you can throw him. Because he's been lying to everybody's face for all this time. He knows about Kumidorian, he knows about Beatrice, he knows what the fuck's going on, but he doesn't want to say it, right? But he knew this is fucking Kumidorian, he knew it. This fucking bastard.
はい、そこの廊下がクワドリアンの地下通路ならば、あの先をまっすぐ行けば長い地下道になり。
Look at him, he's describing the entire thing.
屋敷に戻れるはずだ。
この鉄格子さえなんとかできれば屋敷に帰れるってことね。
お父さん、私たちをどうするつもりですか？
すでに宣告した通り、お前たちは後の晩のための生贄である。都合よく人数も5人。えぐりて殺す5人の人質にぴったりであろう。
なるほど、私たちも年貢の納め時というわけですか。
やがてはだが、今はそのために訪れたのではない。それに言ったはずだ。もしも孫たちの誰かが我が全てを継承するにふさわしいと認められたなら、つまりお前たちは命拾いをするというわけだ。
お子さんたちに何をするつもりですか？
次期当主にふさわしいかどうかテストを与える。その結果、私をうならせる者が一人でもいたならば、
ふさわしい者がいなかったら子供たちをどうするつもりですか？
Well?
それを心配する必要はない。どうせ先に生贄とされるのはお前たちだ。
First.
その後のことなど知ったことではなかろうに、お前たちは自らの命運を自らの子供たちに委ねるのだ。お前たちが産み、教え、育ててきた結晶が子供たちだ。お前たちの命運を委ねるに実にふさわしい存在のはず。そう心配そうな顔をするなよ、クラウス。お前の自慢の100億の価値のある娘を信じろよ。
10 billion yens.
まったくね。子供は親の結晶よ。親の命運を預けるにふさわしいわ。お父様にとってもね。
肝の据わった女だ。ルドルフにはもったいない。
Yep.
キリエさん、あまり注意
He's already got you in the fucking locked goddamn room planning to sacrifice your ass. There's no way aggravating him is not going to give me a benefit. Keep going, Kyrie. Fuck these dudes.
そうね。どうせ私たちはまな板の上の恋よ。今さら何もできやしない。
私に対し威勢のいい口を叩くことはできるがな。嫌いではないぞ、そういう女は。ベアトリーチェも初めはそういう女だった。
親方様、そろそろ本題。さっきから脱線しまくりです。
おお、そうであったな。すまぬすまぬ我が友よ。
Oh?
それでは本題に入る。
What's this main topic here?
そのために電話を用意して。
Oh!
シャノ、知恵が回るな。もう隠さなくてもよいぞ。それは私が用意させたのだ。
失礼いたしました。
Shannon quickly withdrew and his telephone was revealed. I see
ク
it.
ラウスよ、ゲストハウスの孫たちに電話をかけるがよい。そして我がテストを、試練の始まりを彼らに告げるのだ。
But the Jesuits I seem to be saying go ahead. Run over there to Rouse to pick up the receiver.
嫌だと言ったら
You die.
ほほう、取引の余地がどこにあるというのか。お前が電話をせぬというなら、孫たちにはチャンスさえも与え、後ろ宮家はこれに、お前たちは直ちに生贄だ。
直ちに生贄なら幸運よ。あなたたちの眼前で子供たちを先に生贄にされた方が辛いと思うけれど。
生贄の順番は親方様が決めます。勝手なことを言わないように。
リア、今私の名前を縮めようとして詰まったでし
してません。
She did.
だから勝手に人の名前を略さないように。
Leah.
女は実に。
かしましいですな。
So they're about to call these girls in the oh shit. Well, before that happens, we're going back 12 years in the future.